Welcome to Discover Indie Film. I'm your host, Jeff Howard, and this is a different kind of Discover Indie Film podcast. I hope it sounds good. I am remote. I came over to the headquarters of Ryan Barton-Grimley's film fortress. I don't know what to call it. This man is
It's just RBG Films.
RBG Films.
Dungeon.
Yeah, it's the dungeon. It's a cave.
I'm trying to imply how productive you are as a filmmaker, because and I've got Ryan and Ari Schneider here, and they have co-starred in at least 2 feature films that I've seen, and probably shorts and things I haven't seen. But all right, so how do I start?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna first mention this is technically a podcast about Hawk and Rev Vampire Slayers, which was at Filmvasion LA in 2021. It won the Grand Jury Prize for Best Feature Film Comedy. It won Ari Schneider Best Actor in a Supporting Role. It also won both of these gentlemen Best Performance by a Cast for a Comedy. But that was, I mean, you could name everyone in that. Everyone in that film is funny, is on point.
They really are.
They're awesome as well.
Yeah.
So
awesome
actually,
humans.
either one of you right now, we're sharing a microphone, so if there's a lot of ambient sound, be cool with it. You know, this is the world where there's Zoom podcasts, so this is definitely going to sound better than a Zoom.
Okay.
So who wants to say where people can watch Hawk and Rev?
You can see Hawk and Rev. Just go to justwatch.com and type it in there because it's changing all the time. But right now you can watch it on Tubi, Amazon Prime, or Freevee. And then obviously you could buy it. And then it's all over the world now, so you can see it everywhere.
All right, so I urge, it's mostly listened to by filmmakers. If you want to see how to pull off a hilarious, engaging horror comedy with actually pretty damn good effects and doing it all self-produced, right?
Oh yeah, shoestring.
Yeah,
literally.
Shoestring budget that ends up fully entertaining. This is your masterclass. You should definitely watch the film, and whatever you watch it on, give it 5 stars, like it, positive. I've heard comments mean a lot. Like just Just be. I'm always urging the kindness thing. Everyone, all the creatives should be kind to each other and support each other's work with good reviews and good comments. Because hell yeah, man!
It's a silly, fun movie too. Like it's in the vein of just not taking yourself too seriously. So like,
have fun with the comments, like literally, and also the comments help other people who don't take themselves seriously find the thing. Because it's an uphill battle to find things that actually match what you like, and this is a niche thing. It's a horror comedy. It's 80s homage as well. So if you really like that stuff and you write a great review, actually other people will find it.
It absolutely, and it affects algorithms, everything, and what can I say? Like as a fan of independently made films, I will go on Amazon Prime. Not as often as I want to, and I'll try to give a film that I love 5 stars, and now you have to pay for it first, actually, if you want to write a Prime review.
Right.
And I will see like a review where somebody like gives 1 star to a feature film that I know for a fact had like a $3,000 budget and is great. And like the review would be, I watched this, never heard of it, looked really inexpensive, 1 star. And I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah, but what about the movie?
Yeah,
Who cares about whether
the
it
movie
looked
was fucking
expensive?
good.
I like that. Never heard of it was the thing. Never heard of it must not be good. Yeah.
I watched the whole thing all the way to the end. Never heard of it.
And I'm sure there's like 20 to 100 people who watched it and said, that was a really damn good effort. And they didn't bother reviewing it. Mm-hmm. And the one a-hole who should never go near an indie film went and gave it 1 star on Prime.
A-holes tend to be active.
A-holes.
Ooh.
Well, yeah, because the web is very trollish. So people... Yeah, even that troll probably doesn't write good reviews of the films he sees that he likes, but just the ones he doesn't.
I like that he took the time, though, to say...
What about that guy?
I was about to tell that story.
Okay.
I can tell that story,
please,
but I don't know. Do we want to go there now?
Absolutely. There was some guy trolling Ari on social media about the headband I wore in Hawk and Rev, which is an homage to Karate Kid.
I was thinking of a different story.
Please.
But I was thinking of the festival that accidentally sent but I don't want to call them out maybe on this.
Oh, yeah.
Because we don't want to do that. We can call them anonymous.
We can.
An unnamed festival.
So
it was not the Sherbrooks Film Festival or Filmvasion.
No, it was not. No, it was not.
It's
a pretty prominent one.
It rhymes with the Tans Film Festival. I'm just kidding. It's not. But I have to get this story out before we do anything. So basically, so this is when we were. Can I reference the film?
Sure.
Okay. I'm asking for permission, but I just
do it.
So Ryan and I did a film called Elijah's Ashes that we wrote together, and
and made for $3, literally,
pretty much.
And yet it's a road comedy that's great.
Yeah.
I told you before we started recording, my wife loves it. She remembers it. I told her, I'm going over to see the guys who did Elijah's Ashes, because that's the one that she locks in on.
That's awesome. But yeah, I mean, it was our first feature doing together. Ryan had done one before, but and anyway, yeah, it was down for the cause, dark comedy, but dealing with a lot of issues.
Comedy about homophobia.
But
unabashedly.
But making fun of homophobia.
Yeah, 100%.
Because the lead character,
homophobic idiots.
Yeah, and so we were doing fairly well with festivals accepting and some of them not, whatever. But you never really hear why they don't accept.
There's no feedback.
You don't ever get feedback. So, cut to the most random thing. My mother was doing a painting class at UCLA because she paints, and she. Oh gosh. Okay, I'm gonna be careful because I don't want to out anybody. So. That was not intended. So she gets my mother of all people gets a scorecard from a festival about Elijah's Ashes. She gets a scorecard as to why they didn't submit Elijah's Ashes, why they didn't want it.
So it's an internal scorecard. It's an internal document.
Yeah, it's not meant for anyone to see.
Not meant for anybody. It's almost like you're getting like, I don't know, it's like you've applied to a school and the admissions guy or a person has sent a random person in your life. Like, how does this work? So it says like it said like 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, like 0 on all the things. Like, okay, we get maybe you weren't into the story, but it's not 0 on sound or 0 on the the cinematography. Like, that stuff was fine. And obviously this person only watched the first 10 minutes because they're like homophobic jokes, not really into it, not blah blah blah. Like just ripping it apart. And I'm like, okay, they didn't like it. That's fine. We don't care about that. But they didn't watch it. But why is my mother getting it? And so
that was so weird.
So what it ended up,
did it come in the mail?
No, it was in her email. So what ended up happening is her they partner you up in these painting classes, and her partner that she or a friend of hers in the painting class, I guess, got the wrong name. So my mom's name is Sonia, and there was a different person with that name, and I guess this guy in her painting class happened to be on the board of this film festival, and
he was one of the judges.
Also, he did the wrong autocomplete of an email.
Yes.
Correct. Now, what are the chances in this whole world that you send it to the mother of the
lead actor,
the co-lead co-writer,
the lead
okay,
actor.
whatever, the
co-everything,
the co-writer, co-producer, and my mother's the wrong person to send that to, because it could have been the worst thing ever, and she would have been like, "That's my." So she.
No, she's very supportive.
She's very supportive, and so she wrote back.
And she's an artist, so she understands how damn hard it is to make art.
She's an amazing painter. And so she wrote, without missing a beat, like, wrote back, "You didn't like it? I thought it was really good." Without no explanation. And
she also
let's just
has a great
say,
sense of humor.
The guy, I think, called her, and
he melted.
She described
he died.
He felt instantly
She
terrible.
described his voice as he was a bright red and embarrassed,
shaking.
And needless to say, we got into that festival.
You got in.
So we ended up playing. Yeah,
Ryan went.
I went and did a Q&A, and it was funny. I didn't see the judge in question, but I did see the coordinator of the film festival, and judging by the first 2 seconds of their interaction with me and them greeting me, they were very aware of the situation and were not happy about it. And we're like, we're very sorry all that stuff happened. We're pretty sure that person will not be judging films in the future because they clearly didn't care enough to watch the whole movie. And I loved the movie. This is what the guy said. He said, I actually watched the movie after that just to see what all the humdrum was about. And I love the movie. That's why it's playing.
I felt bad for I actually felt bad for this guy.
It
multiple people had ended up watching the movie.
So it was just one judge.
The unfortunate
one jury
thing,
member.
The unfortunate thing is that was the first touch on the movie. So that was the first person screening it. So, like, it would never have gone past that person unless that guy had screwed up like
unless
that.
Ari's mom
guilty.
If she didn't write back, it might have stopped there.
She must have been so confused as to why she was getting this. It's like an angel just came by. That story made me laugh so much, and I felt so bad for that guy as well. Anyway, that was...
The great thing about the movie, too, about it, that person calling it homophobic is, like, at the screening, because it was the only... LGBTQ-themed movie at that festival that year. The audience was packed with LGBTQ people, and I am not LGBTQ, and I was the director. And so they had a lot of questions, and they loved the movie, and were like, no, it made them, it initiated dialogue. Yeah. Which was the point. We didn't propose any solutions.
And no one raised their hand and said, I found this offensive. They totally got what you were doing because the film is I think it handles it extremely well.
Yeah, I mean, it's so obvious that we're making fun of homophobic.
Yeah. That was the best part.
Like, it's pretty hard.
The character that you play, the character that Ryan plays is very insensitive towards his brother who you play, who Ari plays. And but you do a great performance in making that character, I think, identifiable. So who would watch that film and not see that the filmmakers want the audience to like the gay brother and think the homophobic brother, who is not homophobic by the end of the film, right? Who learns.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's a buffoon.
He's a buffoon.
Like, I played him like a gorilla, basically. I think I had an animal exercise that was gorilla. Literally, he's just like scraping his knuckles on the ground.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to seize on this opportunity because Ari mentioned his mother in the story.
Yes.
Which is a great reason to talk about Ari's personal history, because for those who want it, way back on January 31st, 2018, I released a podcast with Ryan Barton-Grimley alone, where I got his personal story of how you got into film and how you got into filmmaking and performing and acting. And so, seriously, go to the Discover Indie Film website at discoverindiefilm.com, and if you go to episode 33, you can actually listen to Ryan tell his story of how he got into film. But Ari has never been on Discover Indie Film, so it's your turn to just start it as early as you want when you got into performing, acting, writing, whatever creative kid you were.
Yeah, now's my time to finally set the story straight. No,
it is. And how all your
all
ideas
the rumors
have been
and gossip and TMZ stuff, I just want that. No, so let's see. So when I was in high school, I was really into writing, and I wanted to be like I'm a screenwriter. Like, that's my thing. But I was always doing theater, and I was always doing theater as a kid. But I never really hung out with the theater kids. Not to say that I didn't like them, but I just didn't really like them. So, like, I didn't...
It could be a clique.
It was... They were all individually nice as people, but, like, I wasn't a cliquey guy. But I continued to do theater after high school, and I was at Santa Monica College at the time, and they were scouting... I was still really heavily into film, and I was interning at all these different production companies, and, like, Lightstorm and all these things, and getting, like, jobs to do... possibly even more stuff, but I'm like, I don't know if I want to go that crazy. Do I want to act? Anyway, a school called the Guilford School of Acting came out and was like scouting, I guess is the way to the actors, and a couple of my friends were like, you should sign up and audition. I'm like, what am I going to do? just in England. This is the whole thing. And anyway, I did it, and then they asked me back, and then I went through that whole process, and I got in, and I was the best thing in the world. It was amazing. It was like boot camp for actors. And they don't mess around in England. Like they take it very like my first year. I just remember the first week wearing tights and doing ballet and all this. I mean, ballet, contemporary dance, voice.
Yeah, just a young guy from LA.
Just
all of a sudden in drama school in London.
Naive dude from LA, like. And I mean, I was very confident about myself as an actor, but all the other things, not like it's very intimidating, especially being that I was one of the few Americans in that year. But out of all the kids in that year, or students in that year, I was the one. I actually got a lot of voiceover work doing like these educational kind of language audio things, or like basically because they didn't have anybody. Who had like a laid back, I guess would you call my accent, like a laid back West Coast accent. So I was the only. So it was kind of nice. I was making like money doing all this voiceover stuff. But anyway, when it came to doing like a British accent or RP, received pronunciation, it was very intimidating. Or, I mean, and in England, it's not like here, and I think it's changing a little bit here. But like here, you can kind of just roll off a bus, and if you got some talent, good looking, like you can get in. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. But in England, the system is that nobody will take you seriously unless you've gone to acting school, specific acting school out of these 10 ones. And so that's why it was so rigorous there. And the fact that other people were taking it so seriously. So my first year there, I was like, oh, geez, this is a lot. I don't know, but if I can do this, and stuck with it, and it was awesome. And I got to work with all this amazing people from the RSC, and saw the best theater. I mean, the West End stuff was just. I was not a musical guy before I went. Like I was just doing acting, and after now I'm obsessed with musicals, and I love writing musical stuff. So, getting back onto my story, because sometimes I forget the topic that I'm talking about, but I realize the topic's me. So I came back and did what a normal thespian from England, who was studying in England, does. I joined the Second City Improv and put those
the one in LA,
the one in LA, because
yeah.
I was in New York for a bit, and then I moved back to LA, and I just got really into doing Second City, and a lot of sketch stuff, mainly improv stuff. I did this show for almost 10 years called The Really Awesome Improv Show, which is the most improv-y title, but it actually is an amazing show because it's all ages, and of all the shows that I did, it was the one that, you can't go blue, you can't say fuck or shit, you can't talk about sex, and all my adult friends loved that show the most, as well as the youngins who would come see it, because
it's a great show. Well,
it's games, it's music, it's awesome. Musical, and you have to make people laugh without saying like, hey, the other night I just had this girl. You got to get. So that was a really good practice, and then throughout those years, I was still wanting to collaborate, and Ryan came into my life. Actually, Ryan Ryan is my brother-in-law, and he RBG here,
hello,
director, many things, many hats, but
coincidentally, your sister marries someone with the same interests.
I told her you should marry that guy because he and I are going to collaborate. I'm just kidding. I had no idea.
In theory, the first time you two met would be a good story, I would assume.
I actually don't remember that.
Funny.
I remember. Here's what I do remember. We're going to get a little personal here. We're going to go deep dive. You were not well liked at first.
That is true.
So, not by me necessarily.
That is true.
But, because I was in England at the time, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. My sister's, her personal life is, but, I guess, whatever.
No, we dated for like a couple months, and then broke up.
Yeah.
For about 6 months.
But I don't remember the exact moment I was meeting, but I remember thinking, this guy seems like a pretty chill, laid-back dude.
He's not a demon.
He doesn't seem, I can't see any red flags. Yeah, he's not a demon. Was that the way you...
That's where most parents set the bar. Totally. I hope my daughter doesn't date a demon.
Yeah. No, and you did, and then even when you guys were dating and stuff, I didn't necessarily see much of you. But when you guys got engaged, you did a baller move. You made me a groomsman.
Right.
Which you kind of sometimes have to do, I guess. But like that was a really nice thing, and that actually made me feel important. All right, no, it did, and
good.
And I got to do a fun speech at your wedding, and
oh yeah,
just make it about me
he
now.
did the best speech at our wedding.
I just used
and did your filmmaker brain, start going? I can cast this dude.
Absolutely, no, it was so funny because a great friend of mine from literally years was my best man, and he was an actor, and he'd been in a bunch of stuff. He was so nervous.
He was so nervous.
He literally couldn't even read the speech he held in his hand. And Aaron just kind of sashayed up and like...
That's my full name, by the way. So Ari is short for Aaron.
Yeah, so he just... Ari...
No, it's fine. We're for the family.
Just walked up and was like... just delivered this speech... He was completely unnervous. There were like 300 people there. I was far more nervous just for people that were making speeches. And he had great comedic timing and it was hilarious. And like he was bringing down the house. I was like, this kid's got moxie.
I was trying out a bit. I was trying out a set. And I was like, I got 5 minutes. I'm going to try out some material, see if it works. What was I think one of the I remember one of the lines. It was like Ryan is the example of what every Jewish mother wants their daughter to marry, a nice African African American, because you're from Zimbabwe.
Yeah,
that was a joke. That one doesn't really hold up as well, I just realized. But there's another one. When I said it didn't quite. But I was like, we're here to celebrate Brad and Angelina. Oh, no, I'm thinking of someone else.
Yeah, there was a Brangelina joke.
These were all you had to kind of be there jokes. And I feel like, but yes, so that's that.
This was 2006.
Right, Lord. But you didn't know him very well at the time of the marriage, so.
Not well enough. No, Simone, no. That's my sister's name is Simone.
Well, we also lived in different parts of the town.
Yeah, and I was doing my own thing.
Yeah.
I was... but anyway, you did actually know that I was into film and all that stuff, because you sent me a script actually before you guys got married, I believe, that you wanted me to look over. That was the one that you ended up, The Truth.
When you heard he was doing drama school in England and stuff, right? So obviously, and you had done a lot of acting when you were younger, right?
Yeah, I was actually quite jealous of the fact that he got to go to England and do that. I was like, oh, that's some real stuff. He's actually doing the real stuff. Which was pretty cool. Oh yeah, I did send you The Truth.
You did, I remember that now.
So that was my first movie, which you can also see literally everywhere. And that had John Hurd. The late John Hurd was one of the leads, which was very cool.
Home
Alone. Kevin!
Cutter's Way.
I mean, his list is... he probably has like 300 plus on IMDb. He was everywhere.
He's an interesting guy.
And he was not John Hurt. He was John Hurd.
John Hurd.
Yeah.
They both passed away the same year, though. It's kind of confusing.
Yeah, Cutter's Way was a great movie.
Yeah.
Great movie. Anyway,
so we start working together, and at the time I'm doing all these Second City improv sketch stuff, and he's like, well, I'll direct some of those, and so we collaborated on those. We did this really silly series called Killer Friend, where it was like these not even 5 minute shorts, maybe about 5 minutes actually, where it's just me. This is not correct grammar, but it's okay. My dad's not here. It is my buddy Casey Graff, who's also an actor who we work with a lot, and he's a good friend. He's always trying to kill me in every episode. So I play victim friend, and he's killer friend. And he's always justifying, why are you holding that knife? He's like, oh, this thing I was just, cutting some carrots for lunch. I'm like, but it's nighttime. It's nighttime. Like, oh, but we didn't have lunch. It's like, but what about this thing? And in the end, it turns out he is trying to kill him. Anyway, that was fun, and then we did something else called Lexus Man, which is I had this Lexus, an SC, I can't even remember, 400, hottest car in 1995 for a woman to drive.
Yeah. So this was just like a hot grandma lawyer car, kind of, from 20 years before.
But it went V8 engine and 10 CD changer in the back. Yes,
it was a bizarre car, man.
But were these characters you'd work out on stage and then say, "Hey, let's film it?
I think some of the other obscure, like the Killer Friend thing, I think was stuff just that came from being on stage, but this thing was purely inspired by the car. It was the character. I think it's the first time the character came out.
So it had nothing to do with sketch. It was you were making films together at that point. It was a short.
We were doing short form stuff, but we came up with this. We had a website called catnuts.com, and that's where we were doing all this. We'd also had done. I'm glossing over some stuff because they can't say everything, obviously, but we also produced and wrote some commercial specs together.
A whole bunch of commercial specs really that Ari was in as well that are insane. There's one that we did for Nike, and he literally plays Jesus in it, puts on a Nike shoe, and walks on water. It's insane.
And Nike would have they would accept spec scripts, or
no, we were hoping their advertising agency Wyden Kennedy would take notice of it, and we had a contact there, and they loved it and didn't care. Literally,
I did get a commercial agent out of it, though.
That is true, and he's done a lot of commercials, like a lot.
Well, but that was because that would never have happened if we hadn't done those specs, though. So that was a lot of fun, and just working we worked together really well. So. Yeah. So now, gosh, I'm trying to keep on track here. So then we started doing. Then we upgraded to features.
Yeah. So what did we write first? I think we started working on the rejects first. I think, right?
Oh yeah. And meanwhile, I was still doing all this improv, and then I got a little TV and some features, but meanwhile, always working with Ryan, and collaborating with
side, separate.
Yeah, collaborate. I just the thing with me is that because we're still talking about me, so I'm just gonna continue. People are like douchebag.
I believe you were prompted to totally navel it.
If you call out that you're a douchebag, it also doesn't make you a douchebag. That's what It
is douchebag armor.
It's douchebag armor, exactly. There's something in that.
That's great.
No, I was gonna say that for me, it's always been I just am such a collaborative guy, and because I know what I can do and what I can't do, and when Ryan was knew everything about cameras and lenses and all that stuff, and I'm I know how to hit the button, but that's all I can do, and so it was nice to have that kind of. I'm very music oriented as well, and the comedy stuff.
Yeah, I don't get music.
And so it was nice to kind of this is what he's good at, and I can't do it. And so that marriage was great, and that's kind of how I am with a lot of the different people I collaborate. I'm collaborating with a friend of mine who's just a brilliant composer. His name is Robbie Elfman. He's worked on our projects before. He worked on Hawk and Rev and Elijah's Ashes, and he and I are developing musical stuff, musical series, and collaborating with that, and it's just been so fun. So bringing us kind of up to now, what was the question again? Oh, Ari, your background. Yes.
Well, and what got you into film? But it sounds in film and acting, and it sounds like it was always in you.
Yeah, it's weird.
Oh yeah, dude. He saw all the the top 50 AFI movies before he was a teen. Literally, well, he's underplaying it.
Yeah,
I think I was just.
And you were screenwriting.
I was attempting.
You were out of high school.
I was attempting to screenwrite, and I remember that's what I wanted to do, but I was but I just, and this sounds, and I just enjoyed acting, and it was also that I seem to be good at. This seems to be one of the few things that I seem to be good at. At least that's what my parents tell me. So
that's absolutely true, dude. Somebody can throw a script at you, and in 3 minutes you can actually do a performance, and you can memorize stuff and be great in literally no time. You're on your feet, and you can improvise an entire movie. like nonstop.
That-
like we could just give him an idea right now, and he'll improvise a 2-hour movie.
That is my next. That's my next stop. That is our next project. I wanted to tell you.
And then
the Ari
you edit it to a
film.
great half hour.
Yeah, exactly. No editing.
We'll have to improvise 10 hours
Yeah.
to get down to 9 minutes.
I mean, you don't have to convince me because I've seen 2 films where you both essentially co-star, no matter what. It's
Right.
Yeah, we're
co-starring.
co-starring.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think Ryan graciously would say like especially in Hawk and Rev, like Rev is a scene stealer. Like every scene that Rev's in
Hilarious.
Well,
is, and Hawk is hilarious all the time. But when you're together, he's just like killing it.
Oh, thank you. Well, to be fair, I mean, Ryan wrote that thing. That's his baby, and that was just about 2 idiots, and it was kind of like we're just battling to see who's more dumb. It was like Dumb and Dumber. It was like how can I be more stupid than Ryan, but at the same time
have more heart.
Right.
That's why Rev steals the stuff.
That is why.
It's the heart.
Yeah, that was
the heart.
Yeah,
because he's like the lion, and the Wizard of Oz.
But you also allowed a lot of improvising too, which was fun.
For sure.
We stuck to the script, but we also got a really silly and fun, and I think that just allowed for just a fun environment. And we were working with our friends. And
well, I'm sure at this point you can write for. If you come up with a voice, you know where his strengths are too.
Oh, 100%. It's very rare that, I have a hard time thinking outside of, the dual dynamic of what I know we can both do. It's really hard not to think of, just push that into almost every idea. Literally.
I mean,
not because it's easy, but just because it's I know this will be fucking hilarious or great.
And I will say this, and this is something that I'll just confess that, when we did Elijah's Ashes, that was a fun movie, but I was playing the lead. I guess I was playing the lead, or the guy who had to keep, not the comedic guy so much. Things were happening.
Of the movie.
And I remember thinking, wow, this is a lot, and it's been an amazing experience, but the next movie, I want to be as silly as I can be, even though it is a silly movie.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna wear glasses that I could barely see out of those glasses.
Yeah, he couldn't see more than a foot.
And so I remember thinking, this next thing, I want to lighten it up a little bit and be a goofball, and that was just
So Rev, I have some pictures of the first day where we did some wardrobe stuff for Rev, Ari's character. And Rev is, he's what we call the groundskeeper. So he's not a gardener, he's not a janitor, he's just a groundskeeper.
He's a groundskeeping engineer.
That's right. That's one of the bits.
We don't really know what he does.
That's correct. It's totally vague. But there was this jumpsuit I don't know where was that your jumpsuit?
Yeah, so this was the early stages in commercial acting or even in theatrical, we're like, they need a janitor, I'm gonna go buy a janitor's outfit and I'm gonna wow those casting directors. They're not gonna know what hit them, and then you show up there and everyone's wearing or not even, people are just like, what are you doing?
But this was a great jumpsuit. This was weird, almost like military surplus jumpsuit, but that was also slightly Euro and weird.
I love that.
And he put it on, and I don't know where the hell those glasses came from. Maybe Audrey, the production designer, came up with them. And he put on the jumpsuit, put on the glasses, and he was like, I was like, done.
And put on the straw hat.
Did some weird voice, and I'm like, is this pushed? And you're like, I don't think so. And,
yeah, I was like, in the world of that film of Hawk and Red Vampire Slayers, it is not pushed, because it's like the world of Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, it's a heightened reality.
Scooby-Doo. Yeah, I mean, the best way to describe that movie, I mean, this is how I think it was like Scooby-Doo meets Lost Boys and Napoleon with a little
Napoleon Dynamite. Yeah.
And another thing that was awesome with the collaboration with Ryan is that he allowed, and I say allowed because not a lot of directors or even indie directors would give up so much creative control when it came to music. Not that you gave it up, you had to obviously sign off on it, but you were like, I don't know what I'm doing here, or I don't have an ear for this as much.
Well, it's a very challenging tone
Yeah.
Well, Elijah's Ashes was a very challenging tone, and I had some really droll temp music in the edit that made the movie literally feel so depressing, and it killed the comedy of it. And Ari was like, "Yeah, that's depressing. It's killing all the comedy. You need something more like this."
I felt the same way with Hawk and Rev. Yeah.
And then with Hawk and Rev, because I guess what I was trying to do was like hit the emotional beats in the edit to give it that emotional spine. But that's not necessarily what the finish of the movie should be.
Let's be fair here, though. You were doing a million things, though. You were
correct.
editing this. You produced it. You directed it. You had written it. So, like, you got to, it was like
you were in the forest.
Yeah, correct.
And someone with musical insight,
correct,
can like spot the trees and see what needs to happen.
I also geek out on that stuff. Like early on, actually, when I was high school, I did this thing at the Academy motion picture where they were doing these composer seminars, like with James Newton Howard and the late Paulodorus and all these cool people. And I remember thinking that was also something I thought I wanted to do, was to be a film composer. But I'm not good enough at playing instruments, so that didn't really pan out then. But now, having doing the acting stuff and musical theater, all that stuff, now I'm tapped. Like for me, music is such a part of it. So when we got to score with Hawk and Rev with my buddy Robbie Elfman, he can write the music and play it, but then we can write it together and we can sing together. But then we licensed the songs. Like, that was also fun. So just being able to paint that movie, Hawk and Rev, like, okay, here's I think where it should go, because it's silly here. It's kind of scary here. This is outside the box. And anyway, it was
it was a super challenging tone.
Yeah.
And like, we shot, it was a super low budget movie, but we shot a lot of footage, like a lot. So I went absolutely nuts with the edit. So there are all these like crazy John Woo moments and stuff that I was like trying to put metal over. And then Ari was like, "No, you just need like a really delicate thing here. Here, let me send you 5 samples." And then he would send me these things and I'd be like, "God damn it. Fuck, this is so good."
Whoa.
And that's in the final movie in Hawk and Rev Vampire Slayers, there's this great character named Terry. And Terry's the best. Terry Rev steals the movie, Terry steals the movie, and rightly so. And Terry has a glorious death.
Kevin Ocampo is the actor, great improviser. Yep.
Amazing actor from Second City.
He's
the homeless accountant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's like Ron Swanson, but he's sort of, but he's Filipino. So he's like a Filipino Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec. And he's just an amazing improviser and a hilarious actor. And his character just died this glorious death. And I shot the living daylights out of this scene and then could not lock it properly because the music was just off over and over and over again. And I sent him the scene, and 30 minutes later he sent me 5 things on Vimeo and was like, "Here's a weird one, here's a nerdy one, here's a super emo John Woo one." I was like, "That's the fucking one, dude."
Well,
and then I was like, "Please, can you do this all over the whole movie?" And I was like, "I'm just gonna give up complete control 100% till I feel like I need to take it back." And I never did. Never did.
It's funny.
And they did John Carpenter shit that was original, singing Western craziness.
You essentially became co-composer and music supervisor.
Correct.
Yeah,
that's exactly it. Yeah,
and painted a whole other layer on the movie.
But keep in mind, I also had Robbie Elfman is a person. My buddy Robbie was a guy who you could literally be like, "I'm doing an 80s thing. I kind of want it to sound like Hawk and Rev." And he's like, "Okay, wait, I got that. Hold that." And just sit down and be. And
he's a genius.
He's a prodigy. Genius. And so, I think that was a lot of fun to put music over that thing. That was just
there's stuff over slow motion scenes that reminds you of Beyonce tracks. I would never have organically done that because I'm such a metalhead.
You were scoring it as if you were the character Hawk.
Yeah.
which makes
exactly.
sense.
Exactly.
But
It does make sense.
I was like stuck in Hawkland.
But
and the
yeah.
movie was stuck in Hawkland.
and that's fine. That's fine. And I was
Yeah.
just kind of like, I had been able to step away from the movie for a long enough time to be like, oh yeah, that's me. And that's
You're like, no, this is not a Sundance drama about Hawk. This is a hilarious comedy that's campy.
What I think it was that it
With
was
gore.
Just, I'm like, this movie is silly. It's a horror film, but it's silly first. It's silly horror. And so
Yeah.
like if we just accept, we don't try to do anything more than it is. It's a silly low budget movie.
Yeah.
Embrace it.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
that's
yeah.
kind of I think there's a lesson there in life.
Because
as
we
well.
had on the shoot as well. We had embraced all of that on the shoot, but then when it came to the post process, it became this other thing of trying to like make it more pretentious than it needed to be. And what it needed it to be was just hilarious. It just
Yeah,
had
what
to
it
make
was.
you
It needed to be true to itself.
Yeah,
because we're
exactly.
That's always a process.
Yeah.
yeah, we're pretty pretentious as people already, so we didn't need to put that in the movie. But
Yeah. Well,
And that is a quality that all creatives have to have. Because you got to love the smell of your own farts.
otherwise
If
you'll give up, dude.
it's a
Yeah.
class in England
You'll-
they teach you. It's just being
fart smelling.
fart smelling, yes.
Yeah. Smelling one's
smelling,
own
But
brand.
pretentiously smelling your fart. Thank you for allowing me to talk about myself, though. That was
No, I mean, it's funny because there were so many things I wanted to respond to, but I prefer not to take the floor. But I'll just add, like, what you said about music. Like when someone takes a film and recuts the trailer and puts on the opposite music, and you can make every rom-com a horror film
Yeah.
just by changing the music.
Totally.
I love
Like,
those.
complete.
Totally.
I love those trailers.
And the other thing I was holding in my back pocket for too long, but I'm just going to bring us back, is when you were talking about writing for him.
Mm-hmm.
Not to blow smoke up your asses, but it reminds me of like the Aykroyd-Belushi thing, where
Right.
Aykroyd could write any script for he and Belushi, and just they weren't always the same, but it was just perfect for the tone, for the both guys' skill sets.
Yeah.
And
That's
that's
cool.
kind of the vibe I get. Like, you know,
That's awesome. Well,
the Aykroyd and Belushi. of
it's
today.
interesting when someone reviewed. That's really nice to say, but
Yeah,
someone who reviewed.
that's fucking amazing.
Someone who reviewed Hawk and Rev called us a thrift store Abbott and Costello, and I was like,
I love them.
that is
That was
one of the
hilarious.
nicest things anyone's
Well, yeah,
ever said.
that was actually a female reviewer.
Yeah.
Said we were the thrift store
Abbott.
Abbott and Costello.
Which
And tore us a new one, and then said they still love the film. I was like,
well,
you can't
again,
beat this.
and I like that there is some quality to that review, but at the same time, yeah, if she was had been aware of budget and this, that, and the other, like the thrift store, like
Yeah, just
you know, what she's saying is you're a great comedy team.
oh,
Yeah.
You
No,
know what?
dude,
You're right.
Yeah.
a lot of shit came from the thrift store. Yeah. It's like, for real.
yeah.
Like our production designer, Audrey Haworth, I mean, we do these movies with like a crew of 3 to 5 people. So, and that and if you watch Hawk and Rev, there's some insane locations there that are dressed. They didn't look like that. These are all donated locations, but still, I mean, that and then the level of gore and practical effects and like wardrobe and all of this madness, it's all touched and full.
Actually, I remember you submitted it to Filmvasion 2020 pre-COVID,
Correct.
without the effects yet,
Correct.
because you were hoping to have the effects done in time, and I think they weren't.
They were
and so
not.
you held it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we had to, and I think
the
I hit you
color
up
wasn't
like,
done.
and then the next year I'm like, hey, did you finish that? And you're like, oh yeah, let me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Totally,
Yeah.
and we had an insane festival run. I mean, we played Dances with Films in their first midnight section they'd ever done, and played opening and closing night as a midnight movie. Like they haven't done it again. I don't know if we broke them, but
Well, it was. I mean, all this was during COVID, so we didn't actually. We still have yet to be in a theater with people watching this film because everything was the beginning of the lockdown, and so everything was remote. And,
maybe we'll do that April 20th next year.
that would be freaking
I
amazing.
mean, look,
For
you know what I mean?
Still
420,
grateful.
baby.
Still,
90 seater, but
Yes,
Still-
that'd be amazing.
Still grateful that it did as well as it did in that, but it is the type of movie that we would have loved to have been around, hopefully, people laughing.
Oh, comedy in the theater is such a different experience.
Because you hear that laugh, and, well, it's like performing comedy live.
Yeah.
Like, you get that little laugh, one person hears it just starts to roll, and it just keeps freaking going, and you've got to sustain that. And when you're writing and editing it, you have to imagine that, because it's not like doing a drama. It's different. It's like, I don't know, it's very manipulative. When horror, it's very manipulative.
As someone who watches like 1,500 films a year that are submitted to 2 festivals and then watches them in the theater, when someone edits comedy and they don't leave room for laughs,
brutal.
It actually works when you're watching it on your computer or TV, but then in the theater, it's lost.
Yeah.
It's lost. People are laughing over the next line, and the timing is all thrown off, and comedy will fail if it's not cut right.
And if you watch a Mel Brooks movie, pre-Spaceballs, there's space for that. There's sometimes 3 seconds after a joke.
Do you remember I used to get so angry too? Because I'd be like, and not because you're good with comedy. I just put disclaimer.
Yeah.
Ryan is great with comedy.
Yeah.
But because I was such a little actor improviser guy with my chucks and everything, and I would always be like, Ryan, please just don't call cut right away. Give it some space, because I'm going to do a button, or I want some space. And you'd get, but like, okay, but there's nothing there for that. And like, I know, but and most of the time it didn't work. But like,
some of them are in some of the projects,
and I was just like, and I remember that was That
I was like,
I would get a little bit. Yeah.
Fine, go ahead. Well, my compromise was adding some time, but also being like, okay, we've gotten 1 or 2 that are close to the script. Now do whatever you want. And so I just started doing that. And like sometimes, and I just do it with everybody after a while. I started with just Ari, and then I started just doing that with everyone, and like sometimes it'd just be like unusable stuff, and then occasionally the craziest fucking gem. Like in Hawk and Rev, there's a scene at the very beginning of where it's going to be this giant like showdown with the vampire villain, and you cut to this remote area, and they're all in this this SUV parked, and they're waiting, and like this character named Andros, who wears a kilt and like has 80s face paint and is part of this goth band, played by Brad Marshall.
Sorry to cut you off. My best friend since 2nd grade.
Literally.
Was just at his best man at his wedding.
Yeah. And we just let him roll. I was like, I have dialogue written for this, but like I'm not sure about it, so just go crazy.
And not an actor as well. Like I mean, he's one of the funniest human beings I know. Gifted musician.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'll let you.
No, but 5 takes of him just riffing on whatever he wanted, and he was doing it about the dialogue, the bad dialogue I had written, and then he was just talking about. So it's a very stressful moment. They're about to battle this vampire, and he's talking about how he doesn't want to have group sex with the people in the SUV, and no one has talked about that with him. So it's this total non sequitur, and the entire scene becomes about that.
Well, he talks about his member. He talks about his penis for about. It's like a monologue about his penis and how he can't perform right now. And you just kind of let him do his thing, and then when we cut it, we're like, we just gotta let let him just say all this, because why not?
It worked with Terry too. I mean, but it turns out that people who are really smart, whether they're trained in improv or not, if they have a good sense of humor as well and are willing to look stupid or dumb and don't really care about that, will come up with hilarious stuff if you let them. You just have to give them the space.
Yeah, and it's actually directing to give the space.
Correct.
Because I always remember when John Cleese was doing interviews for A Fish Called Wanda.
Oh my god!
And he said, to some answer to some pat question, he said, "Look, the best line wins. The funniest thing wins." He said, he said there was a moment on A Fish Called Wanda where like a gaffer turned around and said, "He should say this." And he's like, that's the best line anyone suggested, because they had a line that didn't work.
Yes.
And he's like, I don't care if it comes from a gaffer or an actor or anyone. Like, like comedy's comedy. You have to, and it doesn't make. He's John Cleese, so he didn't have to worry about his ego, probably. But its ego keeps you from letting other people contribute.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
The tagline scene in Hawk and Rev. When Hawk is just saying the 80s movies taglines.
So there's a scene in Hawk and Rev where they're getting ready to go out for their first vampire hunt or whatever. This is halfway, I guess, through the film.
Yeah.
And
they finally accepted that vampires probably exist. Rev has come on board to help Hawk battle them. And they're kind of gotten dressed up, sort of.
Well, yeah.
Rev definitely has.
Rev's in a ninja outfit that, to this day, I never want to put on that thing again because it was freezing. Because I had to learn to wear the thermal undies underneath that because somebody got the flu from that.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's another story. And where they're getting prepped, and Ryan's character Hawk is trying to get revved up, I guess, and you're saying it's go time, or it's what is the first line you have?
I was like, it's go time, Rev, and he was like, what? And then it's like, it's all
these movie quotes that Rev doesn't get, and you're like, it's this something napalm in the morning. I can't remember a single line.
I love the smell of napalm.
Yeah, I smell napalm, or let's get ready. Nobody puts baby. We got to nobody puts baby in the corner. So what we end up doing for that?
There
scene,
are only, I think, 10 written.
Yeah, but so we were all throwing, including myself, all throwing lines at Ryan of different quotes, and sometimes you didn't know what the quotes were to the movie.
And I was just like,
the ironic thing.
I'm just gonna commit to this. So there's a Free Willy one.
There's nobody puts baby in the corner. There's say hello to my little friend.
Yeah.
And Rev is just and this goes on for
I see dead people.
Oh yeah, I see dead people. Yeah, it didn't make
the whole
sense.
crew was literally yelling lines out at me, and I was like, all right, and I just take a second and just commit and do it in some weird way. There was Clint Eastwood stuff, but at the end of the day, like I think AJ, our producer, who's not an actor by any hates being in front of the camera.
Yeah.
I mean, find a picture of him. Good luck.
Yeah.
And he, he got the baby in the corner, the Free Willy.
No, that baby in the corner was me, because I will take first, because that was the one, because I'm like, no, dancing guy. Oh, yeah.
No one puts baby in the corner.
But everything else, was AJ Gordon. Yeah.
But, we could have just stuck to the 5 things and moved on. But we spent another 45 minutes doing that. And then in the edit, we just kept it going. And it's another thing that makes it like a comedy. Because it's it doesn't just stop when you think it's going to. It just keeps doubling down. And you get to see truly how kind of insane and lost his mind Hawk has. And the fact that he's stuck in this world of movies and his own ego. And the fact that Rev's character has not seen any of them except Free Willy is amazing.
Yeah, he doesn't even know really what
you just
movie
get
it is.
to see these two characters.
I think the reason for keeping that scene in there, though, is we're doing this low-budget indie movie that we're not trying to beat.
Why not?
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, exactly. We're not trying to again, like I said before, make it something bigger than it is. So we have the freedom to do whatever we want. And if we feel like it's funny, who gives a shit who doesn't like this? We like this. We find it funny. So why not be? I don't want to say unique, but just make ourselves laugh, and it might be different than
there were no suits telling us what to do. So why would we go out of our way to self-censor there were some suits there telling us what to do?
Right. Well, I was about to chime in that exactly. It's an indie film, and the whole point is you might as well cater it to the audience of you.
Yeah.
And make it the way you want it. Because there's no reason not to, because that will make it funnier. There's nothing less funny than when you run a joke through a committee.
Correct.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing less funny than a low-budget comedy trying to be a really big-budget studio film. And you're just dude,
Yeah, they're already doing that.
They're doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you want a stale buddy comedy with Kevin Hart in it,
Yeah.
they will come out for you.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
no makeup.
we gotta be careful. We are trying to get Kevin Hart for our next project. So
Well, if you
I
are,
love Kevin Hart.
but I'm the one who said it.
no, I'm
but
just kidding.
No,
I just-
but I mean, I love what he does, and
but they just
it's
keep
a different
pairing him.
animal.
It kills me because I love him, and I
Yeah.
keep seeing him in movies where he's
he's not
where it's
being
not
utilized.
natural buddies.
Yeah, correct.
Agreed.
Like-
yeah.
Like
Oh
you know,
yeah, they're like fish out of water buddies, and it's like, no, man. This guy is one of the most successful comedians in the world for a reason. Let him go and do his shtick.
He is
Straight up,
He's
yeah.
so talented.
And if you want him in a buddy thing, just let them. Let it
maybe
be someone-
hire one of his comedian buddies. Turns out he probably has 100 who are
easy.
all awesome and perfect for it.
Yeah.
This is completely off topic, but there's a clip of him I keep watching. He's interviewing Don Cheadle, and Don Cheadle tells him his age, and Kevin Hart just goes, "Damn!" and it's this really awkward moment. I don't think it's staged. I think
Yeah,
it's just
no, Cheadle looks
natural.
pretty
and she was like,
serious.
and
He's like,
Cheadle just
"Are
calls
you
him out.
making
Like,
fun
let's
of
go
me?"
back. It's like, sorry, I didn't mean it like that. He's like, no, how did you mean it? And it's like this whole, and I watch it. It's one of those things I can watch this over and over again. It just cheers me up.
See, those two would make a better buddy comedy.
Oh
than,
my God.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
talk about talent, but yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Well,
Yeah.
and I'm glad. Look, I mean, I don't know if it took you a couple films to know how to get the vibe right, or
It's
if it
really
just came
hard.
naturally from the beginning.
It's really hard.
It's a learning process.
Yeah, I don't think I've gotten it right, honestly,
No.
and I don't think I ever will, and I think that's fine. I think it's the journey and the quest to try to get it right in the right way is the thing. That's the work. Like, I think if you think you got there, it's probably a turd. Right?
No, I mean, look,
It's probably terrible.
as a fan, as a film lover, yeah, you watch a career, and as soon as like someone's technical skills are like perfect, like the work starts to suffer.
Sure.
Because like the inspiration's gone.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta have a rough cut that you watch. I mean, Scorsese has said this, so I'm ripping this off. But, like, he says, you know, I shoot all this stuff and I give the footage to someone. They make a rough cut, and then I sit there and, like, if I need to be deathly afraid that it's gonna be terrible to, like, put on my shoes and go in there and get to work on that thing and try to polish it and make it better. And, I mean, so far, that's been every single movie. You know, but that, like, trying to make it work and better and finding it and polishing it has been, I think, the thing that has made them unique. And part of that also is adding the music in there. You know,
Going off that too, I remember I got very territorial when you're like, okay, you can do what you want with the music, and I'm like, okay, because you're giving me. Also, this is kind of like an edit too. Like I'm getting to tell people how they should think in this scene or what they should not think or whatever. And I remember you were like, I have an idea, and you scored like a clip, and I'm like, Ryan, don't mess with my process, man.
No, I
got
literally
so-
put The Dark Knight over something.
you didn't do anything
It was
wrong.
It was like Bane was scoring the movie suddenly, and it was like,
But
no, dude.
That actually would have
like,
been really fun to. No, but the funny thing is, you didn't do anything wrong. But I had my process of getting into it. I was like,
Well, you were finding it too.
I was like, he's trying to. You're not. I wrote you this email like, don't try to take this away. I know what I'm doing. And it just all you did was send a clip. Like, and I remember like that was the. That's how like much fun I was having with it and passion I was getting with it. But the fact that you were just like. Learn that to like, okay, I don't need to do this work. Like, I want someone else to do this work.
Well, it was just like recognizing, like, I was just like, I have officially failed at even the temp music. Like, the edit is working, but the temp music is even bad. Like, I can't even get a good temp score in here. So I was
you know what's fun
literally
about
like,
that?
There's no fucking way I can pull this off. Like, other people need to do this.
But what's fun is that like that gave me an attachment to the film more so than even though I was producing it and acting in it. Like, I didn't have it creative. Adding to it aside from the acting, and so it was kind of that spurred the hey, why don't we do an ending. Well, it doesn't matter. Ending credits thing that's like super 80s, and then we can add a song to that. Or so like doing original songs, or as short as they may be, or
It's very hard.
for an indie comedy horror film. I don't know how often that's done on that budget. So I think that gave us a little bit more street cred.
That also spurred us shooting fake outtakes for the end. We would never have done that if you had not come up with the idea for the original song.
Sure. Yeah. And so, but that was, I think that's what also was like, so that was a little bit like, how do we make this bigger than it is, but still be stupid, you know? Like, we're writing original songs about the movie, literally dictating, oh, Hawk is having a bad day or whatever. And it's this movie's, and people are like, this movie has its own, like, what's wrong with these people? Why are they committing to this? But, you know.
Well, I mean, once you start, you gotta just see it through, man. And people did see it, and it's weird. Like, Hawk and Rev, more than any other project, played festivals all over the world. Like, we played, I mean, short of the top 3 horror festivals, which are like can size, basically, we played everything underneath. And I mean, these are, people in Spain, people in Germany, people in South America. These are, I mean, English is not their first language even. And like Hawk and Rev struck a chord with them because of that originality and because of that doubling down over and over again. That was the thing. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you see it. Please see it.
Definitely, please watch it. Well,
it's fun.
Really fun. And it is. And talking about to put a button on the music is that it does make the film seem way bigger, way more polished, because film is meant to have its own score and its own soundtrack and like original songs. And I definitely, I can't remember what I thought the first time I saw it, but I know I would be shocked if we ever talked numbers, because it definitely looks like it wasn't a shoestring. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's a shoestring. It's a shoestring. It's a crazy
and I know for a fact, everyone tells you, right, when you watch a film with or without music, like, music is what makes it feel cinematic a lot of the times.
And it felt like a bad commercial before that. Like, it was bizarre. Like, and then but I mean, the tough thing with it is it's horror and comedy.
Yeah.
And it's campy. So, and it's making fun of itself, and there's 80s homage in there. So it's firing like 4 cylinders.
Yeah, and I think that's
the music had to reflect that.
Well, it's also that this is the cut we have. So this movie you made, here's what we're working with.
Yeah.
So whatever ideas were before that,
it's irrelevant.
They're relevant. So this is the movie, and this is the best thing to do. And also just being able to, there are so many talented artists that we were able to license.
That is true.
That saved the day, so I hope those people are happy that are okay, or well, I'm sure they're okay with it, but it was just nice to do that on top of, so like it didn't feel like we had this big thing. There's no way that Robbie and I would have been able to have done everything in that movie, and just the fact that we could put these really melancholy songs or do like playing with all these different random just like genres of music that I know nothing about, but that I was able to listen to and be like, hey, this would sound good here.
Yeah.
Have you is there a Bandcamp page with the score and songs? Because I keep hearing about films that like they'll say, hey, my soundtrack's on Bandcamp.
That's something
to think about.
That's something to think about. Yeah. Because we got a few original songs in there, and we got about 20, 30.
I think there's 50 plus artists.
Well, so here's what ended up happening with that.
Get tricky, but
so because. And this, I didn't make it easy for Ryan in this respect, but there were sometimes where just this song would sound good here, and there'd be other times where a sound would be good here from this song as an effect.
Yeah. So we were even licensing some songs just to use little bits.
Yeah.
But it weirdly reflects the comedy of the movie, because like one of the things that happens in the movie, there's all these reversals. So the score will then reflect that. And that like accentuates the reversal in the comedy, and the reversal into horror, like suddenly just dropping into horror, and so it was a tall order.
It's a very, very, very.
Look,
but hopefully
making a feature film is a tall order. So
totally,
it's
Totally. And I think I don't think there's a better format in terms of storytelling. Personally, that's one of my favorites. I mean, I see all the episodic stuff, and I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I'm like, it's also a whole other exercise to have to condense that and still make that work and still make it punchy and choppy and feel slow in the right places and all that. When you have 8 hours to do that, you can be a little more lax. I've never had the opportunity to do it, but I see it all the time.
Well, piggybacking off that, I think, and this is I won't keep harping on the music, but like I remember one of the things I wanted to do with the music was, this is this dumb movie we made, like a great dumb movie, like
just wearing it on its sleeve.
And so I was like, how do we get the audience moving so they don't have time to think about how stupid that joke was they just laughed at, or if hopefully they laughed at, so just keep it going, just keep the pace going, let's not worry about, unless it's supposed to be drawn out, but
I just kept thinking of Steve Carell over and over again.
Steve Carell?
Yeah, I was like, what would Steve Carell do with this? He'd say some horrendous thing that is hilarious and brings down the house, and then go to the next thing.
Yeah, I guess that's a good thing. Just let's just keep it moving. Yeah, that's a nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's one of the joys of comedy, and believe me, as a comedy fan, nothing bums me out more, and it actually comes out of Hollywood a lot, when they decide Act 3 has to be serious. You know what I mean? Like when you're laughing for a good hour plus, and then the last 30 minutes is like, we're going to wrap up the story in a meaningful way. And I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
These
I was enjoying myself.
Have redemption.
You're
like, what?
Yeah, forget that, you know?
Yeah, like also if the movie's living in a silliness and that's the movie, like what was a great movie that I think did, like Game Night. That was that
Game Night was a particularly good
because
comedy.
That movie, but also was like it didn't try to do anything more than it was. It was just this kind. I think it was a breath of fresh air in that respect because it was just about people game night, and
it let you stay in these really super awkward moments all the way to the end,
even to the ending credits.
Yeah.
With what's that actor's name? The guy from.
Bateman or no?
Well, they're all the guy
John Cena,
Breaking Bad. What's his name? Jesse Plemons. Him
Jesse.
as the security guard and like. But that to me was also. I love when I see stuff where they're still going. I'm not.
Well, we like a bit of cringe, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like one of the first comedic things we bonded over with, I think, when we very first met, was British Office.
Oh yeah, British Office,
we were like,
British Space. Well, Space.
He was like British Office. I was like British Office.
Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
Oh yeah,
because I was living there at the time, and so I was like, I'm gonna bring back all these things to America.
But there was amazing comedy happening there. Dude.
Yes,
that was not happening.
Yeah,
here.
Mighty Boosh is those are all things that I got so inspired by the comedy in England, because especially the TV, because they only get 5-6 episodes and you gotta make it good, and
they're fine with that. I mean, I love that. They're like, we're gonna move on and do another series.
Yeah,
it's cool.
And they write an ending.
Yeah,
exactly.
American TV kills me because, and you were talking about the form, and it kills me because normally season 1's good.
Yeah.
And then season 2 sucks because there were no ideas left, and like if they just written an ending and accepted that a TV show can end, it'd be better.
I think it's because. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, I was just going to say, because American TV was always built on this idea of like stretch out as long as it can go and sell that commercial time.
Sell some soap.
Well, also
until it's boring.
There's not, and from what I've read is that there's not a lot of writers in the room too. So in England, there's just them. So they don't. They're not clouded with all these people. They're the ones having to. It's a lot of more work, but like. They get to make those choices.
Right, so they're seeing it from the creative beginning to the creative end, and they have written that all. They are now done with it. Whereas here, there's like a competition between all of these writers in the room just to get their name on an episode so that they get more money. so that another season sprouts up, and it's just a different motivation.
And if it's a hit, that writer's room empties out and everyone gets other deals.
That's
and then
right.
they have to rehire a new room, and that's another reason why season 2 will be... Yeah, actually, British, I guess we could probably waste another hour on British TV praising.
Yeah.
But I will remember ever since I was a kid, because I grew up on PBS and Monty Python, and there was like a show called Fall and Rise Original Parent.
Yeah.
And it would always say, the title of the show, written by a name.
Right.
Like British comedy was written by someone.
Yeah.
It wasn't
like a person.
That's right.
Or
Right.
a duo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Like Peep Show.
the Peep Show is a perfect example,
Yeah.
and when I got introduced to that stuff is because the reason I got introduced to it is because my British accent was not very good, at least not to the standards that it needed to be in England, and so the voiceover teacher had me study Rowan Atkinson from Blackadder. And I'd never seen Blackadder, and I became obsessed with it. And then I was like, "Oh, I can do this guy's voice," and that helped me. I was like, "That's Mr. Bean," and so
Yeah, because he can do impersonations.
well, I can't. Let's back
Pretty
up.
good.
Let's back
Pretty
up.
good
That's
ones,
not. I appreciate that, but I wouldn't say impersonations. It's more I can just be a weirdo, creepy voice guy,
Right.
To make, and that helps make my kid laugh in stories and stuff like that, and makes you.
Yeah.
And but just really quick, because we're not nerd out too much on the British TV, but Spaced is a perfect example of the music that's just part of Edgar Wright, right? Just like
just fantastic.
yeah, whether it's parody or they're doing a film, a homage to film or something. But if you watch, the comedy and the music are such in line with each other in such perfect ways, and that show blew my mind when I saw Spaced.
Yeah,
because that.
And I mean that guy, just to call him out specifically, like his use of camera work, that's like on the level of Brian De Palma, specificity, moving, all this stuff, combined with writing and his incredible taste in music. It's absurd.
And comedy. Because I don't know if Brian De Palma is known for
No, not at all.
But,
not at
I
all.
mean, I guess there's some of them.
No, but I mean,
this Scarface
literally
has moments.
uses the like thriller horror camera work for comedy.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
it.
like, because American comedy became like, well, let's pretend it's a documentary, and it's like, let's just let it roll in wide, and I'm like, that's cool in some cases, but it's not filmic. And I just remember. Well, I remember the first time you showed me Spaced, I was like, God, this guy's fucking awesome. And then Shaun of the Dead came out, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a lot of horror in my time, and this is totally horror and unique and hilarious. I was like, this guy, all the way to Baby Driver, where it like was literally shot on set and edited on set to the music.
Yeah, literally, it's
go.
cut like a music video. They cut on the music.
So
beat.
good.
Yeah, I know, and I love that you both are into Spaced, because I think most, even Edgar Wright fans, don't even know about it.
Oh, that was that was inspiring. Just
They should bring that back.
Simon Pegg and Nick, all those guys, Nick Frost,
All of
like, it
them.
was
They
just-
should bring them all back as old people.
Yeah, they aged fairly well. I feel like they still kind of play this. Well, maybe not. Nick Frost, I feel like that guy can do. I love that they were also best buddies. Like that was his best friend. You know what I mean?
Talk about a good comedy team.
Yeah.
They're a great
Simon
comedy.
Pegg and
Yeah.
Nick.
I mean, they're probably one of the better modern ones, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I can only think of 3 or 4, but yeah, I mean, Hot Fuzz, come on.
I love Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz. It was just, and that to me is just, taking it. Okay, I love that they took. Okay, I played this character in this movie, and I played this character. So how can we do something different? So I played kind of a slacker in that. So I'll play like an uptight cop. And the last one, you were a stoner. You're kind of an idiot in this one too. But then in the third one, Nick Frost is like the straight. I love and Simon Pegg's a crazy guy. I love that they had the opportunity to do that, and they could just have fun.
Yeah.
Dude, that was just yeah. What was it? The World's End. Yeah,
World's
That
End.
was fun. It wasn't as good as the other two, but it was fun.
Yeah. The Cornetto trilogy.
Probably, I don't know. Probably the budgets got a little bigger, and then more voices came in.
Yeah.
I would assume that might be why The World's End wasn't as on Maybe not as wonderful as the first.
It wasn't as tight, but it's still fun.
I think it's like 5 to 10 times the budget of Shaun of the Dead, and there's no zombies, so like they didn't have to fill the street with zombies and makeup, and like so I don't know.
Well, they went from zombies.
It was someone else's money. That's for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
And enough money that they cared about it. Yeah.
I mean that's the other thing when you make a thing on a shoestring, you literally like it's your time that you spent and your dough. So what I mean, are you just going to give up? Like, really? Yeah. You're just going to give up and just throw in the towel and just release it bad? So you just keep doubling down on it till at some point it seems done. Yeah. And you're not always sure when that is, but at some point it just kind of is.
And that's when it really helps to have collaboration, right?
Totally.
Because someone else can say.
Totally.
Ryan will hibernate in his office and just like I won't hear from him from my mom. Yeah, and then finally you're like, okay, I need.
I'll be like, look, I've literally done everything I think I can do to this, and it seems to be working to me. Now I need other people to be like, that's bullshit. Oh, love that. Like, yeah, that's too long. That's too short. Like, and it ends up being that cut and dry. And I mean, we tested Hawk and Rev twice. Remember?
I forgot.
We tested that cut, man. We sat in Ari's parents' living room with this big screen TV. I mean, it's small screen now compared to TVs.
Right.
But with like
inflation, we can
15 to 20 people in there from all walks of life. Quite a lot of Hollywooders, and just played this silly movie. And we're like, what do you think? Like, what works? What doesn't work? You know, and one note we got, which ended up being a thing that music fixed, was don't feel like there's enough vampire-y stuff in the beginning. So then we did a bunch of John Carpenter-esque stuff, which it wasn't adding more scenes of vampires, but it felt scarier and deeper and more serious for about 25% more of that first reel, and that fixed it.
Yeah, and that was like Robbie Elfman and I came up with that together, but then he just took it, and then he's like, do you want me to add more 80s stuff to it, more we're like, yes, and he would be just kept adding all these different instruments.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, there are parts of the film that he scored that I had nothing to do with. Like, he just did. So I want to be very clear that I cannot do what Robbie can do, and I will never, and he's, but yeah, that is interesting that did help. I didn't think of that, how that didn't. Yeah, there's parts of the movie where he's going, oh.
Yeah,
and it's creepy.
It's super
really creepy, yeah.
But having that kind of test environment also makes you, I think, less precious about the stuff, because you're like, well, I mean, we gave it a good try. Let's see what folks think. And then you can really kind of get a vibe for how it will play. And I mean, you don't have to take all the criticism. You don't. You can.
Those make me so nervous too. I think I purposely didn't show up to one because I was like, I don't. Like my ego is still.
So that's the new movie. Listen carefully, which I play a
banker.
I play a banker, kind of, I don't know, a guy who doesn't see the sun very much. He lives in an office cubicle.
Your new dad.
A new dad, and I'm experiencing a lot of anxiety about having this new dad. And it's a psychological horror movie that is totally, What is the name of that movie that Tim Robbins was in where
The Player?
No, the one where he comes back from the war and all those people are
Jacob's Ladder.
So it's Jacob's Ladder for a new parent. That's what it's like. And
I remember the script. I read it.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, go ahead.
So this movie, like, it literally came to me in a anxiety nightmare. Like, I just woke up and was like, ugh. I just wrote all this stuff down, and I mean, maybe 25% of that is in the movie, but went and shot a script that was probably 70 pages long and was like, oh, need to go back and do multiple pickups. And I think that is the trick with low-budget movies. You need to go and shoot, and you need to, whether you're paying it for yourself, getting favors, or raising money, you need to have the plan that you're going to go and do multiple rounds of pickups. Even if it's just one character or it's inserts or whatever, you just need to have that built in. So we did 3 rounds of that for Listen Carefully. And, I mean, yeah, look, it was a very confusing psychological horror movie. It's almost done, and can't wait for people to see it. And that test screening was so powerful because people literally were seeing it on a metaphorical level that I was not seeing it at all as the director. and
you wrote it. You wrote this one.
And I wrote it as well. Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, cool. So now that people are saying, well, I'm seeing it on this level and I think this is missing. And another person was like, oh, like, I didn't see that at all. I'm seeing it on this level and I feel like this is missing. And I'm kind of sat with all of that feedback from like 20 people and some pretty good-sized producers who were like, I don't even know what to say about this movie. Like, I would never make a movie like this, and you should just add way more of the monitor voice making fun of Andy. So the gag in the movie is that this guy finally gets to babysit his infant daughter for the first time. His wife's going to go out with her friends, and the baby gets taken out of the crib while he's asleep on the couch, and someone starts communicating with him through the baby monitor, trying to extort money from him, and he has been doing some corrupt stuff at work because he's afraid he can't provide for his family. And he basically goes on this night from hell trying to get money out of ATMs and then meet people to get the baby back. And you start to go like, oh wait, is this dude hallucinating? Is that real? Is that not real? And that's all fine and good, but the relationship he has with this voice behind the baby monitor really becomes the spine of the movie in a sense. And so it was another interesting journey, like trying to edit all of this stuff. Like, so this was a different thing for me. I worked with a different editor, Matt Latham, who's edited huge horror movies like Victor Crowley and the Hatchet series and some pretty big stuff, Itsy Bitsy Spider and all the stuff, and got the horror beats right. But then like when you test it, it's like, well, yeah, no, the scary stuff's all working, but what about all that other stuff that makes it more of an RBG Ari Schneider movie? Because he plays all of these voices through the monitor plus a live action character that I don't even want to reveal. So it's like, there's like a lot of layers in it, and that tends to be the thing that we keep doing.
Well, I think this is, I think this one is like something because I remember I read it and I'm like, I really like this, and then I'm like, okay, do you have an idea what you're going to do with this? And you're like, I do, I have an idea, because it's very Lynchian, it's very David Lynch, like it goes, and I remember thinking, this is a very ethereal, like I don't want to give away anything either, but you are kind of, I would say experimental, I guess is a good way of describing the way.
Little bit more.
Right, exactly. So I'm not going to, and so that was kind of, so I just knew like, okay, what can I bring to this? And I remember I was like, I really want to do the voice. You wanted me to do the other role. And I was like, oh, yeah. Am I giving away anything?
No.
Okay. But yeah, no, that was, and it was, that's, you're still cutting, you're cutting that now, right?
Yeah. Just in the last 10, 15 minutes of it. And again, there will be this whole other layer where we're going to go back and re-record all this monitor voice with him to add this whole other layer onto it.
Yeah.
That was not previously perceived because, through shooting the original shoot and then adding stuff to it through multiple pickup shoots, like the movie just like blew up like a kaleidoscope, kind of.
Well, I think also what's interesting about that too is that like as the monitor voice, I was behind you in the back seat with the mic, so that was on. We haven't done any ADR stuff with that yet. So what people were hearing was the script, and then me just hiding behind a corner doing the voice and do a mic. And I think now this is another opportunity to
add
kind
some
of
humor,
to
weirdness.
to now go to have some fun with that and find where the movie is without again giving away too much.
Yeah.
But it's a movie that doesn't it's not something that I have a lot of, because it's more horror, right? I would say.
Yeah, it's more psychological horror.
Yeah.
I think what people will take away from it once this layer of ADR is done is that it's also darkly comedic, which was not present in the test screening, and there was the darkly comedic stuff gets to really make fun of the masculine ideas this guy has about himself, which are the portal to all of his failings, which is hilarious.
Which, truthfully, I love that you had the instinct to naturally wrap this up and talk about what you guys are working on next. But I mean, I'm sitting in a room and I can see all your posters and bringing down the fallacies of masculinity, I think, is a theme through all your work. I mean, from Repatriation to Elija's to Hawk and Rev.
Yeah.
When guys are acting, you're not saying all men are dumb. You're saying when dudes are too attached to their masculinity and their idea of like what makes them a real man, they come off like an idiot.
Yeah, and shit goes weird, and it's hilarious.
We've been
watch.
Humbled in our lives, definitely.
Oh yeah, again and again, continually.
We're such unique. We happen to be three cisgendered males around a microphone, but we have now. We're just the right age in a way to be aware of like the stuff we admired in our dad that actually was like not so great. I mean, not to get all psychological about it, but like
No, my dad was in the military for 20 years. So, like, playing Hawk was like playing myself as a 7-year-old, idolizing him, but now as a grown-up.
Well, I had a different experience of idolizing my dad, but knowing he was a nerd, a big Jewy nerd at the same time. That's okay to say because I'm Jew. But what I've discovered about him is it's interesting that I admire him more, but I also know half the stuff he's saying I don't think is entirely correct in regards to the memories and things like that. So
you're like, I was there.
Yeah,
I remember that
about me.
That is not what happened.
Well, and you admire the other sides of
the other side, and also being a parent. We're all parents. Like that. The father advice. I'm like, I don't think you were. I don't think that was you who did that. I think it was my mom. So that's also another interesting thing looking back on. But that's getting in a whole another conversation.
Oh, yeah.
But there was no... I would say this. In my household, there was no... I wouldn't say there was a lot of masculinity being pushed. If anything, I was trying to accentuate... Although my dad is a builder. That's the thing. He's very comfortable in his skin. My dad's been working out for like 50 years, and he's been a builder and all this stuff, so he was just very comfortable. So
I would say he was an early woke person. Ish.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah, you would
never... a guy of his time.
Sure.
You know, like, he was ahead.
So I was probably trying to be like, dude, we need more masculinity in this household.
Let's watch Lethal Weapon.
I remember, God, this is a weird story to end up, but my dad and I watched the movie Deliverance together, and we both had never seen it before. Ooh. That's an experience, watching that movie with your father. Yes.
Wow.
I feel like that's in tone.
Weird bit of trivia. Ari's dad is actually driving a car in Die Hard.
Okay, this is crazy. So
the Die Hard Tower is like, you got one right there. Right?
Yeah,
it's just down the street here.
Yeah, in Century City.
And we were like, I've been watching that movie every year since it came out. I love that goddamn movie. I loved westerns as a kid because they were the only thing that played in Zimbabwe at the drive-in because they were 20 or 30 years old and it was cheap to play them, obviously. So, but Die Hard is like a modern western, right? I think it even originally was one. And I just love that movie. And during the pandemic, we were watching it finally with our kids around Christmas because this is a pretty hard movie. Like there's some stuff in there that maybe a kid shouldn't watch.
Should I not show it to my 3-year-old yet?
I would wait.
Yeah.
Maybe 7.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there and we're watching the very beginning of the movie when John McClane is in the limo and they're driving towards Nakatomi Tower, which it turns out they're driving down Olympic Boulevard. And I mean, I don't want to call out the production, but I'm pretty sure they didn't have permits to shoot there. Because a lot of those cars were live cars, for sure. They did not lock down that street. So I'm pretty sure someone just hopped in the front of a car and shot through the windshield, which is freaking awesome, and it's just exactly what I would do. Well, it turns out there's a gold Toyota Celica turning left onto our street right here.
I can't believe you spotted this.
Well, yeah. And Ari's dad had gotten this car. Okay, there were only 2 in the state of California at that time. It was such a rare color combination of car, and it's in the movie. I mean, there's no way it's the other one.
No, it's definitely
impossible.
There's no way.
So you can only see the car, though you can't
see the back of the car.
But he's turning on the street that we live.
Yeah.
So and we were living at that time.
They did blur out like the license plate numbers, so somebody went to the trouble to do that.
Right.
But there's no way that is absolutely his car, and that tripped me out.
That's a trip, man.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's just
All right. Well, anything else we should throw in before we stop recording, and then we'll start recording again. I don't know if Ari knows about the 4 questions thing, but it'd be fun to have you do.
I know about the 4 agreements. I don't know the 4 questions.
These are a little more fun.
Okay.
Just favorite
those
films,
aren't fun for me.
Underrated, overrated, and something to seek out. Ryan
I don't know. Check out Elijah's Ashes, and then check out Hawk and Rev. You can see us working opposite each other in 2 completely different dynamics. I mean, it's kind of bizarre, I think, almost. And look out for Listen Carefully in 2023.
And you're just going to keep going.
Yeah. I mean, you're sitting here in the office. This is a list of movies that are all in various states of scripts. There's a couple bigger projects that. The Rejects is a original movie Ari and I came up with that is like Breakfast Club but with monsters or zombies, and we are actively trying to raise a large budget for that.
But anyway, I see the word horror at the top, so you kind of locked in on horror.
Yeah, I got a couple dramas I still want to do, but
I know what OPM means.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, just because there's stuff like I know we can do.
Although Bigfoot versus Useless Idiot.
Sorry. Yeah, right.
That's a title. This is not how I, as a member of the jury for the film festivals, I do not use this technique, but I think you can go by title most of the time. I think a really good creative film has a really good title.
Yeah, they have to.
Yeah, because like if it's a boring title, or if it's a title that there's like 100 listings on IMDb with that title, it's probably, I don't know. I could be proven wrong.
I mean, unless it's done ironically or something, like, totally. Yeah, and it has to have like key art that grabs you. Like, it has to. I mean, you're competing with so many other movies. Like, you gotta have something, I don't know, that's weird or striking or something.
We're really into the visual, the artwork of our stuff and the tagline and just having fun with that.
Yeah, actually, I mean, it's influenced by being in Ryan's office, but just seeing the 2 posters, I mean, I see 2 posters with the 2 of you in costume, and the degree of character that comes through, it's like 99% of who your characters are on these posters, from the puffy vest and the Kleenex in the nose to the wolf shirt.
Yeah.
To the straw hat and the onesie and the Karate Kid bandana and all the denim and I mean, come on.
I think people really thought
T.J.
Miller was in that movie, and I think that also got a lot of people thought I was T.J. Miller.
Yeah. There were literally hundreds, maybe close to 1,000 comments on social media. Oh my God! I can't believe that dude that got canceled is in this vampire movie. And
is T.J. Miller canceled? I didn't know.
Sorta-ish.
I don't.
It's a very talented.
We don't have to go there.
Very talented guy. But
I got to see him at the Aspen Comedy Festival before it was canceled when he was an unsigned stand-up.
Oh, wow.
And he got I saw him 3 times at different showcases, and I'm like, this kid is going to go somewhere. 2 years later, he was in Cloverfield.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And he is Cloverfield. His voice is.
The funny thing is, I met him this once or twice, and in person we don't nothing alike. But we literally nothing alike. But. I
made an autoresponder just for those comments that I would literally click and it would go, no, that's Ari Schneider, blah, 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 talented.
That's no dig
at hilarious.
No
digs, no.
No, not at all. If anything, that's a mega compliment because that dude is so funny.
Silicon Valley without him would have been nothing.
Nothing. The most boring show. Kumail is great, and
I think it's Jimmy Wang. They needed a spinoff. Just let them do their thing.
Yeah. They should have had a sitcom spinoff.
Yeah.
Married with Children, but weird. Dude, I would watch that.
All right, so people, you said Film Finder?
JustWatch.com.
JustWatch.com. Don't use it for other films. Use it for Hawk and Rev.
Hawk and Rev, Vampire Slayers, Elijah's Ashes, my first film, The Truth, Repatriation, any of our other movies. Just put in your territory, so you could be anywhere in the world, and it will show everywhere it's playing. It will. It's really cool. All the streaming apps, all the cable, what's free, what's subscription. It works for every territory.
Yeah, I need that all the time.
Yeah, dude.
I got to write that down. Just Watch?
JustWatch.com.
JustWatch.com.
It's pretty awesome.
All right. I'm going to ramble.
Maybe they should sponsor this.
Oh no! We just as he's about to cut us off,
our previously discussed mutual friend Jeffrey Thompson, when he did this podcast 2 years ago, it was pre-COVID, so it was over 2 years, 3 years.
It's crazy.
Gosh, I can't even. Yeah.
He kept breaking into fake commercials for sponsors. He goes, by the way, this podcast is brought to you by what's the book subscription thing that? The audio. I'm blank. I'm killing his joke.
Audius? No.
No, it's the one that all the NPR podcasts are sponsored by.
And we all can't think of it because we are...
Audible,
yes.
That's right. He faked an Audible.
I didn't know we could do bits. I would have been doing bits this entire... Can we do this interview again? I would love to be doing...
You can do bits, but we'll stop and then...
No, that's fine. I'll just do bits to you guys when it's over.
Sure you want to say yes? He's going to do 30 minutes of blueberry puns.
I got to be home in about 2 hours. That's all. I'm still good, but yeah.
Great.
All right, well, I'm going to ramble off my shit. We didn't curse that much, which is good, but I tend to curse. So, you listen to the Discovery Indie Film Podcast. There is a TV series that was born out of it on Amazon Prime Video. If you want to learn about the podcast or that, go to discoverindiefilm.com, and on social media, it's @DIFwins. By the way, like and subscribe, be kind. I think we talked at the beginning that you should give Elijah's Ashes and Hawk and Rev and Repatriation, everything with the name Ari Schneider or Ryan Barton-Grimley on it. You should give 5 stars and thumbs up and fun comments too, because just be kind. This is a world full of trolls, so when you're not a troll, step up. Us non-trolls got to step up. And then we should actually go on Hollywood movies and really shit on them. But support the indies
and watch Troll Hunter.
Yeah,
it's also a good movie. That's nothing to do with us. We
love that movie.
Yeah,
I guess I gotta add it.
Yeah.
All right. So a couple of these gentlemen's films have been at Film Invasion Los Angeles, which is a festival we hold every June. You can learn about it at filminvasionla.com, and it's at Film Invasion LA on social media. And its sister festival, the Sherman Oaks Film Festival, we hold every November. I am drowning in submissions right now. I got a lot to watch, but I've seen a lot of good stuff. So that one you can learn about at ShermanOaksFF.com, and it's at ShermanOaksFF on social media. Ari Schneider, Ryan Barton-Grimley, thank you for having me in your space.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I feel honored. I feel it's been fun. And we're actually just going to start recording again after I stop so that we can get Ari's answers. And the fun thing is I can look at the website and know Ryan's answers from 2017?
I think so.
2018 of what his favorite films were when he
Batman
answered
Returns.
that time.
Yeah. No, it's something really pretentious, I'm sure.
You could answer them again if you want, and then we can compare and contrast.
Yeah, thank you. This has been fun.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening, too. All right.